Well, he might still be doing impressions of the crazy frog long after it's gone out of fashion, but there is no doubt about the man of the moment in Formula One. That man is Sebastian Vettel. Yet another win for him. Congratulations to him and Red Bull. Eddie, we saw just 2 overtakes during the Grand Prix here in 2008. It was an awful lot more entertaining today, but once again, the same man at the front.
Well, same man at the front, and he keeps going up in everybody's estimation. Today I thought he was under intense pressure for a very major part of the closing part of the race, and he responded in every way. Absolutely supreme. Clearly his KERS is not working right, and you have to remember that is 80 horsepower giving it away to Lewis Hamilton. So full marks to both of them for driving brilliantly, but I think Vettel just edged it.
And it's not just the KERS, is it? There is a reason why that car isn't as fast during the race as it is in qualifying, because in qualifying it's so incredibly dominant.
Well, there's a lot of the variations. That's what happens. It could be the size of the radiators. It could be actually that they maximise the power of the engine. For example, that Renault engine, they are squeezing the last bit out in qualifying, and maybe Mercedes are not doing so. Obviously, the Renault is pulling back for the race. That could be an indication. We should find out, really, because there is clearly something there that the Red Bull is not as dominant and hasn't been as dominant in the race performance as they have in the qualifying.
Sure, and what a great battle between Lewis and Sebastian. That was great to watch, wasn't it? The last time we saw that was in China. On that occasion, Lewis won. Today, it's 1-0 to Sebastian Vettel. We'll hear from him in just a moment. But what about the battle for third place on the podium? Well, that went to Jenson Button. He made the 3-stop strategy work, but for a long time, Mark Webber was trying really, really hard to make sure that he was the man standing on that podium. This is the start from Mark Webber, of course. Picked up pole at this Grand Prix. He was hoping that he could turn it into a win, just as he did 12 months ago. Sadly, that wasn't to be. He didn't end up on the podium, but yet another good haul of points. Remember, this is the best ever start until this race in Mark Webber's career. Let's hear from him.
Well, Mark, not the day that you wanted, and it was pretty tough from the word go, really. Just tell us about the start.
I don't think it was hideous, but it looked like Fernando got a phenomenal one. And then obviously everyone's in the tow on the run to the first corner, so he got down the inside and was a bit compromised, and then obviously Seb was on the outside. So from then on, it wasn't the start we had planned. And then it was just chess, really, from there. People covering each other off stops. Not really doing much racing on track, and then if you had us said at the end of the race, finished 40 seconds behind Lewis, and Fernando finishes a lap behind the leader. It's interesting day today, and it goes to show you how fine the margins are when you're off a little bit on strategy and can't clear people at the right time, then you get exposed. So
Can you pinpoint one area where it was one for Sebastian, lost for you?
I haven't had a look. Obviously, you've seen the whole race. I haven't, so I just saw it from my view. So have a look at it all. Obviously, I think at certain stages I was quick, and then other stages I'm not so quick. Obviously, that's the way it was today.
That was the way it was. The margins are so fine in Formula One at the moment. The pole man finishes fourth. His team principal's with us, and I just said to Christian, "How are you doing?" And he just went, clearly exhausted just from sitting on the pit wall, so I can only imagine what your drivers have been through. But it was, once again, one of those kind of races, wasn't it?
It was a full-on race. I mean, from start to finish, Fernando changed the dynamics of the race completely, getting into the lead. And he didn't have fantastic pace, but it was very hard to overtake. And, we managed to get Seb, past with the undercut. It was impossible to do that also with Mark at the same time. And, Seb managed to make that really work for him and hang on. But McLaren, gave us a tough run today.
Christian, are you turning your engine down for the race?
I wish I was saying yes, Eddie, but...
Well, it just seems that you've the power. There's, in qualifying, you don't have to replicate that in the race.
I think, the race is a different challenge, and these tyres, you have to nurse through different stages of the race. At one stage we were considering a 5-stop. So it's a matter of managing the tyre and not abusing the tyre. And, but in saying that, McLaren... pushed us pretty hard with Lewis today, and they were a big margin, obviously, ahead of the rest.
And can you confirm that Sebastian had no KERS, particularly for the last 5 or 6 laps? And if so, how incredible was that defensive driving from him?
It was fantastic from him. That DRS is pretty powerful on this long straight here, and he had limited use of the system into the last third of the race there. So you could see in the first couple of sectors he could pull out a bit, but Lewis could just stay within that DRS zone. But Seb just had enough in hand to make sure he never got close enough to have a serious challenge.
OK, well, another win for you and another big haul of points for the Constructors' battle as well, which you'll feel great about, I'm sure.
And a great day. Great to have Dietrich here to see the team win only 2 days after his birthday, so a good present for him as well.
Indeed. All right, thanks very much. Congratulations to Christian. Let's hear now from his man who finished at the very front today in the drivers' press conference.
Congratulations, Sebastian. A 4th win in 5 races and a thrilling, intense battle for yourself with Lewis Hamilton in the closing stages. Give us a taste of your emotions right now.
Yeah, it was pretty tough, obviously. The beginning of the race, I think I had a good start, but I don't understand where Fernando came from. He started behind me, obviously some 16 meters behind, and halfway down the straights he was already side by side. He went on the inside of Mark, I went on the outside, and so he was leading after the first lap. We couldn't get really close enough to get into the DRS so that we really get an advantage and could pass him. But then we got him with a pit stop. But as you could see, I mean, fairly early, everyone was getting the options out of the way. And then there was basically half of the race left on the hard tires. And it looked like, I mean, McLaren was very strong. Lewis was very strong in particular. And they stayed out a little bit longer. A different strategy, which brought them up to second behind us. And from then onwards, I knew that it will be very, very close. I had already going into the last 10 laps, I was feeling a bit like China, where I felt my tires going away from me, and I was just praying that the same thing happens to Lewis, because he was catching up, and they seemed to be so much quicker, in especially the last sector. So he was always getting in the DRS zone, so he could use his rear wing on the straights, and obviously, he was sitting for some time in the limiter end of straight, but still, sometimes it was, it's quite. If you open the straight, he's quite far away, and end of the straight, you look in the mirror, and he's thereabouts. So you don't know if you should defend or not, So it was really close. But then, thankfully, in the last 2 laps, I think I got quite a good run in the last sector, and enough to make it stick. On top of that, we had sometimes curse on, sometimes curse off. I was playing around with the buttons and brake distribution, so. It wasn't an easy race, and obviously the McLarens and Lewis especially gave us a very, very hard time. But it's quite, it's quite a big release when you cross the line or you open onto the main straight, and that there's the checkered flag, and we made it. So I'm very, very happy. A great result, and after yesterday, I think another confirmation that we are very strong. But surely today, as expected, not by many people, or many people said today this will not be a race. It will be only between Mark and myself. We've seen, boom, turn one, a Ferrari is there, and then the McLarens give us a very hard time. So that's why I think I'm even more happy today that we made it, because these guys were pushing very hard. But I'm just happy now.
Lewis, is today with McLaren coming home 2nd and 3rd confirmation that when it comes to the racing, your team is very much back in it? Or is there a tinge of disappointment that you couldn't get past Sebastian in the end, no matter how close you were to him?
I don't think we can be disappointed with today. I think, the team did a fantastic job throughout the pit stops and throughout the weekend to get us up there, and put us in a fighting position. I didn't get the best start, and but was able to just keep up with the Red Bulls, with Mark in particular, because I think Fernando was holding the 2 Red Bulls up. So I was able to keep with them just for a while. And as the race went on, we clearly had some serious pace, but it was very, very tough to get past Sebastian at the end. They were massively, massively quick in the high speed, turn 3 and turn 9, and through the last corner. His downforce was incredibly clear for us or at least for me to see. But nonetheless, I gave it my all, and to move forward and score some good points and retain 2nd place, and it's great for Jensen as well, and great for the team points.
Well, let's come to yourself, Jensen. It wasn't the best of starts. I don't know whether you were planning a 3-stopper or you were planning a 4-stop strategy, but the 3-stop worked for you in the end.
Yeah, my first lap was an absolute disaster. I got a poor start. I didn't feel too bad, but then everyone came by and I was stuck on the outside of turn 1 and then also turn 3. And I don't know where I was, but I think I was about 11th after the start, 11th or 12th. So very, very tricky then, and the guy in front was making it very difficult to overtake. But I was able to pick them off, and with a fantastic strategy, I would say, this race. We were able to get a podium, It was great fun for me also coming through and passing Fernando and also Mark when they were on the prime tire. I was on the option. And we made the 3-stop work. 2 weeks ago, it wasn't the right call, but this week it was, and it's good to get some nice points and also to have fought my way through. You know, I really felt like I raced today.
And that'll be of great relief to Jenson Button, who felt that his strategy didn't really pay off for him in the last Grand Prix in Turkey, and he didn't get the result he should have done. But Sebastian Vettel will be delighted. Another win for him, a frustrating day for Mark Webber, starting on pole position. We've already heard from him. We'll hear from Fernando Alonso in just a couple of moments. And congratulations, Michael Schumacher, finishing in front of his teammate Nico Rosberg. And a quick mention of Nick Heidfeld. He had a fire on Saturday morning. He didn't take part in qualifying. He started at the back, but he finished in the points. An impressive display by him. A tough day at the office for Pastor Maldonado. Williams with their best qualifying so far this season, but it was a day to forget for them. And also for Team Lotus, they may have been pretty much the best of the new teams, but Jarno Trulli and Heikki Kovalainen were hoping for a lot more, particularly Heikki, who started 15th on the grid, and Felipe Massa finishes 22nd. A tough day for him on the weekend that his teammates had a decent finish and also announced a long-term contract at Ferrari. Where will his head be at the moment? We can see where his points are at. Felipe Massa, 24 points on the board, a long way behind Sebastian Vettel. Look at that. After 5 races, 118 points on the board, and he extends his lead over Lewis Hamilton. And as far as the constructors' battle is concerned, well, it's very much Red Bull at the moment. The best part of 50 points ahead of McLaren at the moment, followed by Ferrari, Renault, and then Mercedes. Well, David Coulthard has shot down from the commentary box to join us. David, there was a very mild disagreement between yourself and Martin Brundle at the end of the race there about the relative speed of the Red Bull and the McLaren. Which car do you now think is quicker during the race? We certainly know which car is quicker in qualifying. It's the Red Bull.
Well, it's, in many ways, it's easier to judge the performance there because you know they'll be running the engine mode and maximum. You know they'll be deploying KERS. They'll be using all of the tools. As it happens, actually, Sebastian Vettel didn't have KERS for qualifying, but you know they're delivering everything they possibly can. In the race, it's a question of, you know, you've got engines. You want to get 8 engines for a season. You've got to use different engine modes and all the rest of it. But that was not a comfortable finish to this Grand Prix. There's no question that if Red Bull could have given more to Sebastian, they would have allowed him to have that. It's so important to get these victories. So you have to say the McLaren was the quicker package at the end of this Grand Prix, and it was some great driving from both those guys.
Indeed, they won it, but they won it only just. One man who was possibly having his eye on the top step during that race was Fernando Alonso in front of his home crowd. He's described the home crowd as being worth a 1/10 of a second on a lap here. Well, he started P4. He had a pretty decent start. Of course, the man Mark Webber didn't have the start that he wanted. Fernando Alonso desperately looking to capitalise on that, and that was one of the moments during the race. An incredible start from Fernando Alonso. Sadly, though, he couldn't stay in front. He finished 4th. He's talking to Lee.
Oh, Fernando, what a fantastic start you made. Let's start at the beginning. Tell us about them.
Yeah, it was good. I think we were missing some good starts this year and finally came today, and here with the long straight until 10-1 you have the opportunity to take the slipstream as well. So yeah, basically we were out of position in a way because we were not quick in the weekend. We did a very good lap yesterday, so we were 4th, and maybe it was a strange result. And today in lap 1 we were 1st, so it was not our position. So it looks a little bit sad when you start losing positions, but we need to understand that P1 was maybe not our position in that moment.
Certainly gave the crowd something to cheer about. I don't think I've ever heard such a loud cheer over the engine noises. Just tell us what your thoughts are, though, coming in 5th. Was that slightly more realistic than the first that we saw?
Yeah, absolutely. I think 5th is, unfortunately, what we deserved this weekend. We were not competitive, especially in the race pace. We were too slow with a hard tire, even more. So, you know, I think the first 2 cars they lap until the 5th guy. So there are clearly 2 teams ahead of everybody at the moment. So we need to change this situation. We need to work more and more. And we see Monaco is so special that anything can happen. But in Canada, we need to make a step forward.
Well, Eddie, he had the home crowd support. He had the start as well. What he didn't have was the strategy, and as we're seeing this year, that's all important in F1.
Strategy, absolutely. What you've just seen, what you've just heard, is the epitome of current racing. Without a good strategy that's working for you, you've got no chance.
We've seen a corking start there from Fernando Alonso. Michael Schumacher, actually, despite having a few detractors since his return, he's made some really strong starts, and he had another one today, didn't he?
Yeah, this year he's made some great starts. You could argue that if you're further down in the midfield, then your good performance off the line is going to help you. But yeah, he's not lost any of his racecraft. He very skillfully finds the safest way down to that first corner, and then somewhere, we actually didn't get to see it on this inboard shot at the beginning of the race, but somewhere else around this lap he manages to get in front of his teammate, possibly on the exit of turn 3 and down into turn 4. But he'll be very happy with that race result, and that answers a few of the detractors from the previous Grand Prix.
Yeah, you could just see Nico Rosberg's front wing on the right-hand side there. He got in front of Nico. He stayed in front of Nico. He had a strong points finish and just walked through the paddock with a very, very big smile on his face. Let's hear from Michael.
Well, Michael, you were talking always about making a good start, and it worked out pretty well for you today.
Indeed, yeah, the start and going through the traffic to the first corner worked out very well. Been a bit tight because having cars right, left, you never know what they're going to go next, and then you have very little margin to avoid. But worked out fine, but then got into trouble with balance of the car, probably as quite a few other people today. Oversteer was the main issue that I had to fight with, and we got it through and got the maximum out of what we had available.
And is the car progressing as how you want? Is it a more comfortable ride for you now in this race?
No, I can't say that. I mean, compared to where we've been in qualifying, that was more reasonable. In terms of balance, what we had before the weekend and Friday was as well a little bit more reasonable. I don't know what was going wrong, but definitely we lost out on performance for today compared to what we had Friday.
Well, I think Michael Schumacher should head to the next Grand Prix, which is only 7 days away, of course, with a big smile on his face. A strong performance from him, Eddie.
Well, I thought it was a strong performance, but that's not what he was saying. He was saying it was a loss of performance since Friday. But maybe he's the ultimate. He's always looking for something extra. I thought he drove far, far better than I've seen him in recent races.
I think he says it's a loss of performance from Friday, but still a strong race from him, and that's exactly what we didn't see in Turkey.
Yeah, he looked like he was on top of the car this time. His run down to the first corner, picking his way through the traffic was, like the Michael of old. I think he was run very close by his teammate Nico. My hunch is that Nico actually had the faster race pace, but if you're behind and in that dirty area, he wasn't able to make the pass. Bottom line is Michael brought home the maximum points, or the most points for the team on this occasion. So in that respect, then he's fulfilling his contract. OK, we've got some breaking news for you. There's an investigation from the stewards for Lewis Hamilton, Jenson Button, Mark Webber and Jaime Alguersuari for not slowing under yellow flags. David just explained the situation there, the rules and the potential punishments. They're looking into that at the moment. Well, we were discussing it in the commentary box, and Martin was saying that, they don't slow down for yellow flags, but you absolutely have to slow down in the area where the flags are. So that means the zone at which the marshal is first waving the yellow flag until the point at which you get the green flag when you leave that zone, you have to show that you're slower on that lap than previous laps. OK, well, we'll carry on chasing that one. And, of course, you can see the highlights of that moment and the rest of this Grand Prix tonight with the highlights of the 2011 Spanish Grand Prix from the Circuit de Catalunya on BBC 3 at 7 p.m. Now, there's all sorts of action going on right now over on BBC 2. It was a dramatic Challenge Cup final day yesterday. The Bulls and the Warriors are battling it out right now in the 5th round, so make sure that you tune across to that if you can. It's also the final day of the football season, and 5 into 2 won't go in the Premier League, so who will face the drop? And Premier League players were in Monaco last year enjoying a bit of relaxation after the season. They might just be doing that in 7 days' time, because that is where we're heading next. But breaking news, and this is where we'll discuss it. Love F1?
Yes.
Want more?
Yeah, absolutely.
More crazy shirts?
They are just so fabulous.
Then you know what to do.
Really? I don't remember.
You need the F1 forum.
You think?
Not heard of the F1 forum?
Yeah, I remember that.
After the show, just press the red button.
Which red button?
Or you could just watch The Life of Riley.
Tell you what also to watch.
Yeah, thanks, Jensen. There is nothing else. The F1 forum for more reaction, analysis and behind-the-scenes action. Press the red button.
Come by later.
This weekend it's time to do it.
Amazing. Have a look.
So we'll see you all there.
Difficult to say.
Oh, come on. Mark, surely you're with us?
I'll say yes.
Can I just say I didn't write that, and David Coulthard loves The Life of Riley. Now, we're now disappearing on to the F1 forum. All you need to do to join us is make sure you press the red button or head to bbc.co.uk/F1. You can tweet me at Jake Humphrey F1. You can send us your emails, but we want to hear from you because there's breaking news at this Grand Prix. So, it's Survival Sunday today. Sebastian Vettel survived his teammate being on pole. A great start from Fernando Alonso and serious pressure from Lewis Hamilton. But once again, he takes the win. Bye-bye.
pick your battle.
Red Bull's strategy upside down already.
You've got to choose which ones to fight. Oh, 'cause it doesn't really matter
Who can win this battle of wills?
oh, who's wrong or right. Oh, yes, you've got to pick your battle.
It's Hamilton taking the fight to Vettel.
Make it work out in the end.
Ring, ding, 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 ding.
Next time on Formula One, Round 6, Monaco.